Our next several interviews are with people that have been working in the industry for a relatively short amount of time. We sat down to talk with Joe Kotapish, who grew up a few hours away from here, spent his summers down here as a kid, and then came back for the opportunity to work as a marine electrician. So Joe, we talked before we started recording. You're kind of semi-local.
Exactly, right? Transplant, yeah. So grew up in the DC area, but spent my summers down here. Grandparents had a beach house in Sandbridge, and spent most of my summers down here, but did my high school and middle school up in Northern Virginia and DC area.
So it didn't have a boat, but close enough where you could see people on boats and
exactly
kind of develop that kind of sense of adventure. Like, man, it'd be cool to be on one of those.
Absolutely. I had some family friends that also had boats, so kind of going on their boats as well, and kind of just falling in love with it.
If that fueled your interest in the nautical trades, you own a boat now?
I did own a boat, but I have since gotten rid of it. You know, I feel like it's easier as a boat mechanic to own a boat because you already know what you're working on, and you know it's simple, and you know it's ABYC. You know.
So two things. ABYC.
Yep.
What does that mean?
American Boat and Yacht Council, I believe, is what it means. Yep.
It's the industry standard for
Correct.
Mechanical and electrical systems,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Okay. Two happiest days of a boat owner's life
when you buy a boat and when you sell a boat. Exactly.
Still
right.
True?
Exactly. For the most part, yeah. For the most part.
Do you think you'll end up owning another one day?
I would like to think so. Yeah. Definitely enjoy my time on the water as much as I can.
So you've been out of high school for 10, 12 years now?
Yep. Graduated in 2012.
What were you thinking about when you were in high school?
I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be quite honest with you, coming right out of high school. I knew I didn't really want to go to school full-time or, you know, a four-year degree school, just because high school was a little bit of a struggle for me. I wasn't really the best with, you know, math and geometry and stuff like that. So
I'm going to temper that a little bit because we talked about this yesterday. It was less that you weren't a good student and more maybe you weren't as interested in the stuff that you were...
For sure.
That was put in front of you?
Absolutely.
Because you did well at the stuff that you really enjoyed, right?
Exactly. Once I kind of moved into the marine field or, you know, engine stuff, it kind of excelled very quickly, which was nice to see, you know, happen because it was at some point a little difficult not knowing what you wanted to do after school, and you know, some of your friends, you know exactly what they're going to do before they even get out of high school or have a path or some sort of, you know, mindset of what they want to do. So it was a little frustrating, but once I kind of found that, it was definitely a nice little niche to kind of fall into.
And how did you find that?
Honestly, it was I had some help from my mom because she was looking up some classes for me and kind of helping me out on what to do, and she knew I loved boats and big machinery and big motors and stuff like that. So she kind of brought this up to me, and it seemed like a cool opportunity. And there wasn't too many schools in the area. I guess TCC was the one that offered a marine diesel program, which is kind of what I really wanted to do. But they also would offer some outboard classes and smaller engine classes as well.
So, I mean, you just kind of described exactly what we want to try to accomplish with this podcast, is introducing the people that are guiding high school students, right? It certainly it starts with parents, but teachers and guidance counselors. If they don't know to do the research, if they didn't have some other exposure to it, they don't really know. They may not know what goes on in this industry.
Absolutely.
Right, and it's easy to say, well, go to work in the shipyard, but not really understand what that means.
Yep.
And if you don't have somebody to tell you what goes on in a shipyard, how do you ever find out about it? It's kind of a mystery.
Exactly.
But it sounds like your mom was pretty diligent about doing some research, knew you well enough to know the things that interested you.
Absolutely.
But she had the time to put into doing that
100%.
Research.
Yep.
But found that thing that she knew you well enough that you would be interested in doing that, and kind of guided you over to Tidewater Community College.
100%.
And we're sitting here at the company you work at now, Salveri, which is in that industry, but we're not in a shipyard.
No.
In fact, we're right around the corner from Topgolf in an industrial park,
Right.
working in a series of big garage bays.
Right.
But if somebody were to drive by right now, unless one of the boats are outside, they don't know it.
Would not suspect that we work on military boats here, no.
But there's a lot of industry that supports shipbuilding, ship repair, boat repair that goes on in places just like this.
And it's not by the water either.
And right, we're not by the water, right? There's a retention pond over here somewhere. We're not going to put a boat in there.
It'd be kind of tough to test a boat in that.
So you were working at another company previously that held this contract, and when that contract shifted hands, you got introduced to Solveri, and you've been here for a couple years now.
Yes, sir.
What's the work environment like here?
We work in such a tight-knit group of people that it feels like you can accomplish anything, I guess is a good way to say it. We're always working in a team, whether it be 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, to kind of get a job done on the boat. And it's awesome. I wouldn't trade this environment for anything else. And to have that, and it's also a friendship. Like every single person in this shop is my friend, and I would do damn near anything for them. And I feel like they would do the same for me. And
small boat technician is a pretty unique trade.
Absolutely. Because
you have to do so many things. There's electrical, there's mechanical. At some point you've got to be able to operate the boats. It's a little bit like trying to remodel your bathroom, right? The smaller the room, the harder it is. And you talked about kind of working in teams because you can't get more than 2 people into
in some places,
in some of the spaces on the boat. So you get to know one another pretty well. But everybody that's involved in working on that boat has to be familiar with all of those systems and all the interactions that
100%.
What's the path for somebody that wants to learn about repairing boats? What would you recommend that they do?
Ask a lot of questions. I think that's really first and foremost. If you don't know, just ask. And I think that's how I really progressed, was asking questions. I didn't really know much about boats when I first started, but asking questions and just saying, hey, I don't know, is a great way to to learn something, or even just trying it and failing. That's trial and error is okay, and to a certain extent, with some of the more bigger things, it's left to the experienced mechanics or X, Y, and Z. But asking questions, I have found, at least for myself, definitely helped me grow in this industry a lot.
Pretty friendly in this industry. While it can be kind of intimidating seeing big systems like this and the complex wiring and mechanical stuff in there, and then working with dudes like you, got this big beard, are you really approachable? Well, it turns out, yeah, you really are.
May not be at first look, but
if somebody can get past that and realize, hey, this is all, it's knowable.
Absolutely.
Right? We built it, we fixed this boat before, so just because somebody new to the industry doesn't know it doesn't mean that they can't learn it.
Exactly.
And because you're working so closely with somebody, it doesn't do you any good to hold all that knowledge yourself, because that person, that teammate you're working with,
because that's the next generation, and that's that. If you don't have them, what do you have, And
you hit on something really important. In fact, I just had this conversation with my daughter last night, who's in her senior year of high school, and I said, and that's the age that you would expect somebody to feel like they're supposed to know something, and they realize they don't, but don't know what to do next, and are fearful of asking for looking like they don't know something, that there's an expectation that they do know it. But that's really not the case. And then, as you mentioned, people in this industry want to transfer that knowledge, and it's a compliment if somebody says, "Can you show me how to do this, because I'm not sure."
Absolutely.
What excites you each day, getting up knowing that you're coming to work on these really cool boats?
That's an awesome question. And 6 out of 7 days, I love coming to work. Some days obviously I'm not feeling the best, or I'm a little groggy when I wake up. But 9 times out of 10, I wake up and I pop out of bed and I'm out the door within 10-15 minutes and at the shop, even early. We start at 6, but I'm here at 5:30 just because I enjoy being here. I enjoy this shop, and like you said, working on these classified boats, and it brings me an immense sense of pride as well. To know that the boats that we work on are going out and into harm's way, and knowing that I'm fixing that and making it, so they're able to do their mission, immense sense of pride. And I think that flows out throughout the entire shop as well, throughout all the employees.
That sense of purpose is, it seems like it's easy to find here. And when I read the newspaper, I listen to the news, see anything on social media, you see people that feel like their employer or their job is just that. And there's no loyalty going back either way. And I just don't see that in this industry. For the people that have passion, that come in ready to work every day, whether they're welders or pipe fitters or electricians or small boat techs, I hear that, and I feel like that's such a powerful attractant to this industry that, man, if you're going to spend most of your adult life each day at work, shouldn't you feel good about that?
Absolutely.
You don't have to like it every day,
Absolutely.
right? Not every day's fun, but at least feeling like there's a purpose, you're actually accomplishing something, you're turning out a good product. It's not unique to this industry, but I think it's unique in industry writ large.
Absolutely.
What are you doing now, and what do you want to do next?
So I started off doing pretty basic stuff on boats, peeling off non-skid, which is a grueling task in itself, pulling wires. I was actually lucky enough to have some pretty good mentors when I first started here that really let me kind of jump right into the whole process. So when I first started, I was pulling motors, pulling out drives out of boats, pulling fuel tanks.
When you're saying that, it's kind of disconnect these things.
Correct.
Right? Somebody shows you, hands you a wrench, says use this wrench to disconnect those things, and you're doing what's directed.
Correct. Yes.
I don't want to say doing what's told, what you're told, because that sounds very negative. But you don't know the boat, you don't know the systems yet, so somebody's introducing you to those,
Correct.
Showing you the tools, showing you what things it disconnects, and you disconnect these 4 bolts. Now we can lift that fuel tank out.
100%. And some of the tasks were easy enough where you could just be told, hey, do this, do that. But for some of the more in-depth things, absolutely, at least a little bit of guidance. But like I said, I was very lucky to be able to kind of have people that were guiding me or in a position of leadership to kind of really just shove me into the whole mess of it, and I hate to say figure it out for myself, but honestly that's kind of what they did, and I think I'm pretty appreciative now of that aspect, because it really helped me grow as a mechanic, and honestly as a person as well.
I'm gonna guess they probably told you to go figure it out, but we're watching.
Of course, I'm sure they were looking behind my back a little bit. Yeah.
or knew that it was a test that they can come back and check and verify afterwards.
100%.
Right? But there's great value in trying to struggle through something on your own the first time, because if you're just doing what you're told or what you're shown, you're not really learning.
Exactly.
So what you're doing here is at Solvary on these boats, it's a maintenance contract, right? It's not.
Correct.
They don't bring it in when it's broken. They bring it in on a phased maintenance.
Correct. Some of the boats that are brought in are definitely broken for sure. Some of the boats have been flipped. Motors are blown up or something like that. So for the most part, they do come in operating, and we do a pre-delivery sea trial with the Coast Guard, just to look all over the system, see what's working, what's not working, what can be reused, and what needs to be replaced. And they're also used for anti-terrorism and kind of multi-mission applications.
So that is pretty cool that a boat in your shop here now, a few weeks, few months from now, can be on a Coast Guard cutter somewhere in the Western Pacific doing its mission.
Like I said before, it gives you an immense sense of pride to see that those are the boats that I work on that are out there doing those missions and seeing it real time.
I gotta imagine when you see a picture of one of these boats in the news somewhere, you're looking at the hull number going, did I work on that boat?
100%, 100%. And I have seen, some TPSBs that are out in service now on missions that have seen that I've worked on. So again, that, very huge sense of pride.
So the learning process here has been a bit of hands-on, a little bit of guidance. Anything more formal than that?
Yeah, so I actually just got back from Hamilton Jet training out in Seattle last week, which was a really cool experience. To be able to kind of see the jets that we already work on, but then also the new jets and the size of the jets that they make. But yeah, so we have training courses that we're slotted to go to. Some of the guys are going to Cummins School. We have some other, I think, Yanmar schools coming up in the future as well. So we do definitely have some formal trainings as well, even local, just, kind of courses to.
And these are all different manufacturers of systems that are on board. And when you talk about jets, so make sure the audience knows that a couple different ways to move a boat, either propellers, you talk about outdrives there.
Correct.
Which is what most people probably think of, but
Sure.
people may not be aware that there's actually water jets. It functions just like an airplane jet engine.
Yep.
Instead of drawing air through, though, it's drawing water through the
Exactly.
engine.
It's almost like a huge jet ski, in a way, where it's sucking up water and then forcing it out through the back with an impeller and at a high rate of speed, which would move the boat forward.
So that's pretty sophisticated stuff. There's a lot of
is.
things involved in how that engine operates, how that propulsion system functions.
100%.
And you're working on different classes of boats, and you need to be familiar with each of them.
Absolutely.
So each of those manufacturers have got courses that you get to take advantage of. How about for somebody that's just kind of starting out in the industry? Where do they go to get that first introduction? Obviously, you can come and submit a resume in someplace like Solvere and ask, hey, have you got any jobs open? But what could position somebody better? Where would they start?
Sure.
What would you tell yourself 12 years ago if you knew you wanted to come and do something like this? What would you do the same or different?
I think I would do most of what I did the same, because I feel like I really got the best of both worlds with school and work at the same time. I wouldn't deter from jumping right into the field per se, because hands-on I've always felt is the best experience in the workforce. But it couldn't hurt to do some sort of training. TCC offers some marine classes. There's ABYC certifications that you can take. Electrical courses you can take to familiarize yourself with boat systems and how they work and operate. But there's also some local classes. So there's an ample amount of resources in this area.
So one of the places you talked about was the Maritime Institute, which is right here in Norfolk, pretty close by, over on Robin Hood Road. They've got a full spectrum of courses, everything from introductory to electrical and mechanical systems, all the way up through
Captain's courses as well.
unlimited masters, captain's licenses. And you're right, that's a great resource for somebody that wants to find an entry into the industry.
Absolutely, and even not so much on the small boats too, but also on the larger ships as well. You have MSC, Military Sea Lift Command, and they offer merchant marine classes that to be able to go on those ships as well. Like you said, a wide variety of subjects that they offer.
Pretty well versed in that. Have you considered sailing?
No. So no, I haven't. I like the smaller boats definitely better than I do the larger ships. But with one of my previous jobs, we had a contract with the MSC. So it was with the SOLAS, which is called Safety of Life at Sea, which is a rescue boat that they have on pretty much every one of those ships. And I would go pretty much anywhere in the world those ships were and do a inspection on those boats.
So you were traveling at the time. You were on a travel repair team?
Yes, sir. I have almost clocked about 2 times around the world.
Really?
With
How old were you when you were doing that?
This was while I was in school as well. This was kind of give or take probably a couple months after I first started was when I did my first travel trip. But yeah.
So
I've seen
21 years old?
I would say about that, yeah.
So
21 years old and going to Japan, Singapore, Dubai. Like I said, I've been a lot of different places.
Was it all work?
All work. And some of
hang on. Was it all work, or did you get to get out and see somebody else?
Okay. We'll say we definitely had a little bit of downtime, but for the most part, it was all work. Yeah.
I joined the Navy to get that kind of experience, right? Because I grew up in Long Island, and I wanted to get out and see the world, and that was one of the things that really attracted me to it, right? it'd be dishonest to say I didn't want to get out and see the world and experience some stuff
Absolutely.
too. There's other ways to do that.
Absolutely.
And you found one of them at a young age, not a whole lot of experience yet, but a lot of trust. I mean, obviously, if a company is relying on staying in business,
and to have a young kid come out and do that, help you with that work, absolutely. A lot of trust.
To fly halfway around the world and back to repair a critical vessel, right?
100%, yeah.
If that lifeboat doesn't work, they're not leaving the pier.
That ship will not leave the port unless that lifeboat is working and operable. Absolutely.
And you do get to get out and see a little bit of stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
At a pretty young age, which is pretty cool.
It was.
I think.
Absolutely. It definitely opened my eyes to a lot of different cultures, and but it was also cool to see that, because we got to work with some of the local people and see how they work, and to kind of see the work at foreign shipyards and stuff like that. So it was very cool to see kind of the way other shipyards and other companies work on boats and stuff like that.
What a great experience.
It was.
And at the ideal age to go and do that.
100%. And that's what keeps me coming back. That's why I come to work every day loving it, because it's I get to do stuff like that, and yeah.
Because there's some young kid just like you that's on one of these cutter boats halfway around the world going, I'm looking for a little adventure in my life.
100%. 100%.
That's great. So you've been here for a couple of years now. You've been in the industry for a while. What's the next step for you? What do you want to do next?
That's a great question. I've really kind of been thinking about that more throughout the years, but definitely more probably in a leadership role in a shop setting like this. I still, it's hard for me to get away from turning wrenches. I'm very hands-on. I drive these boats, so I'd like to see some sort of happy medium between turning wrenches and a management position role. Like I said, I also love to travel. Traveling is kind of one of my number one reasons I'm in this industry. So hopefully kind of maybe something meshed between all those three, turning wrenches,
We've been trying to make the point that these are career opportunities. Like, just where you start in this industry doesn't dictate where you end up. So you've been on a travel team, you've worked on various different kinds of vessels, you're still on your tools now, but you can see a time ahead where you're ready to, or you might want to transition into, like you said, from instead of being the guy on the tools, but maybe the one leading the people on the tools.
Absolutely.
Is that a realistic goal?
Even if you're at a position like I am, where I've been in the industry, multiple years, there's always room to move up. Even if it's with a different company, there's always room to further your knowledge and kind of boost your career even more.
What does it take to advance to the next level? Like, do you think you could be in a job that's not on your tools right now if you wanted to be?
If I wanted to be, for sure. But like I said, I enjoy turning wrenches a lot and being hands-on. But even here, all you have to do is, ask, hey, what can I do? How can I improve the company? What can I do for the company? What can I do for myself to help improve myself? Is there any classes I could take? Is there anything that, you would like to see out of me as a company owner or, business owner?
I really like hearing you say that that there's opportunity within the company. There's always opportunity to go somewhere else to seek other opportunity, but you're stating it pretty clearly that where you are now, there's opportunity here. And I kind of anchor on that because I want people to understand that this industry has got decades of business. It's never going to go away,
yep.
Right? But the opportunity is going to be there, and a company that's successful now just has to keep being successful. And a part of that is growing people up in those positions within the company.
For sure.
And people should realize that it is in fact possible to start in one company and stay there and grow with that company. It doesn't mean you have to make a big leap to go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Because that's intimidating. That's an intimidating process.
Yes, it is. Taking that leap to go to something completely new, you may or may not know what you're, going to be working on. Absolutely. It's a big leap to go and do something like that.
And certainly in the small boat world, because there aren't that many,
Yep.
Everybody kind of knows everybody in this
Absolutely.
industry. Like somebody changes jobs.
I've heard the small boat industry called the small boat mafia is how I've heard described before. But yeah, it's a very tight knit group. Everybody knows everybody. You know, even if you don't think somebody knows you, they probably do know who you are and your name and where you work.
Yeah, there's not more than a couple degrees of separation
Nope.
between people. Right?
Absolutely.
They certainly know your company. They work with your supervisor or somebody else.
But you know, that's also great for a career in this industry, because if somebody hears your name out there, you're doing a great job, they might reach out to you and offer you an even better opportunity than, you know, you have right now. So I definitely think that works for, you know, most everybody's favor in this industry.
So we're talking here on a Friday afternoon. It's a pretty nice weekend. What do you got planned?
That's a great question.
Is it water related at all?
Probably water related. There's some good waves right now, so I'll probably go surfing at some point. May do a little fishing. Not quite sure. I got some side projects that I'm working on as well. So always something with the water. You know, always boats, surfing, or something with the water going on.
The salt water really does get in your blood, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I live and breathe salt water.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
It's been
you.
a great conversation.
Appreciate it.